What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tengu flipper from Benchmade, but this is the gold class. So the gold class is what I consider a very good idea from Benchmade. And what they do, for those of you who don't know, they take a model from their lineup, something that they've already done before, and they just kick it into overdrive, right? They just make it as fancy as they can. For those people who want a fancy version of a knife that they really like. So if you are a fan of the Crooked River, if you are a fan of the Tengu flipper, if you're a fan of the bug out, they've done knives in the gold class for all of those models. And what they do is they take things like damaged steel, and for example the Crooked River, I think the full-size Crooked River, they did a damaged steel bolster for it. For the mini Crooked River, they did like an amber and Damascus blade. For the bug out, they did a fancy handle. So they do these runs, what they call unlimited limited editions. And what that means is that, for example, this one came out in 2021, and you can still find it, but it's running low. So if you need to jump on it if you want one of these. So what they do is, all through 2021, Benchmade produces these as many as people will want. If dealers keep requesting them, they keep making them, and they keep going like that. They do as many as people will take, but at the end of 2021, they stop making them, no more. And so they become like these limited editions that come out a year and then they never come out again. So if you want one, you really need to jump on it on the year that that it came out. Otherwise, you're looking at the secondary market, and then you're paying secondary market prices for it. And this is the first Benchmade gold class that I buy for myself. I thought some of the others were fairly ridiculously priced, in my opinion. Now, I understand that they're more of a collector's item, but I just didn't see much value in it. This is not a cheap knife by any stretch. I think this was like $650 or thereabouts. But it's only about a little over twice the price of the original Tengu. Some of the full-size Crooked River, I think it was like $1,500. So it was like 5 times or 5 or 6 times what a regular Crooked River would cost. So I was never tempted on paying that much money for a gold class until this one came along. Now, I don't have the original Tengu. This is the only version of the knife that I have. But I'd seen it in the past, and I was curious about it. And then when the gold class came about, and I saw that it wasn't as expensive as other gold classes that they've done in the past, I jumped on it. So that's what we have here. So let me kind of give you a tour of the knife. And what you have here is this. I think they call it Odin's Eye damaged steel. So a really nice Damascus blade, and then you have this white and black marble carbon fiber, and I'll try to. It shimmers in person, so it's really nice. You've got this blue G10 kind of, like a slip joint of a traditional knife. You've got blue anodized liners. You kind of have the same on the other side, and then you got this really nice back spacer with so it's transparent, it's kind of semi-translucent, and it's got like a copper wire running through it. I don't know if you can see it, but what's nice is, I'm going to take it off camera so I can charge it. I think it's also glow in the dark. I'll show you here in a second. turn off the light. Hopefully that comes across, the glow in the dark. So what you have is a very fancy version of the Tengu flipper, right? Damascene steel, this really cool carbon fiber, the really fancy backspacer, the anodized liners. All of that is obviously not present. Now, again, if you want to give this knife a shot, then there's a regular version for it. For me, this fills the gap of a gentleman's carry because it comes with a really nice slip case. So this one just goes in here. It goes all the way in, and I can carry it, whenever I, have a party or wearing a suit or something like that. So it's a smaller knife. Let me show you here the size, and I'll give you the size comparisons here in a second. But it is a 2 3/4 inch blade, so really, really small size. So let's compare it with its brethren. Here's against the full-size bug out, and here's against the mini bug out. So it's probably size-wise it fits in between these two, but I think a lot closer to the mini bug out. So it's a small knife, and hence my use of a gentleman's carry. Something that is, not that lacks murderosity, as Nick Shabazz would put it. And that's against the Para 2, and here it is against the Para 3. So it's a small profile, small thickness. It's basically a fairly slim knife to slip in your pocket. So let's jump into the review, and it's a little bit weird because the ergonomics on this are pretty bad. Okay, so obviously a knife like this, especially for the use that I have for gentleman's carry, it's not a hard use knife, but the ergonomics are pretty dismal. Okay, I can't get a 4-finger grip. My pinky kind of hangs off the back on my size large hands. Okay, you can't really choke up because this scale kind of protrudes into this choil, as you can see here. So it's not really a finger choil, it's more of a sharpening choil. And so the ergonomics are pretty darn bad. It's a neutral handle, so you can hold it in any variety of grips, but it's not comfortable really in any of them. It's it's like you're holding a chunk of something, a chunk of wood or something. There's very little contouring going on in this side, and although the edges are rounded, it's a fairly small radius, so you can tell where the corners are. So ergonomics are not nice. Cutting performance, again, because this is a gentleman's carry, it doesn't. I don't use it for a lot of cutting, right? Whenever I take it out for a party or an event or something like that, it's rare that I'm gonna be needing it for cutting. But if you're looking at this and trying to see if you get the regular Tengu, I would still say that it's not a great cutter. It's not a thin blade stock. Let me show you here against the bug out. You can see the Tengu is probably twice as thick as the bug out. So it's really not slicey at all, and because the blade is so short in this dimension, even shorter than the bug outs, right? So what you have is a thicker blade, probably twice as thick as that, and then this is a full flat grind from the top to the bottom, which brings it to a really, really thin edge. And this one is a saber grind, so which means that you have a little bit of a flat portion up here, and then a flat grind from there on down. So this is not a slicey knife. It's not a great cutter. It really isn't. I mean, for a gentleman's carry, it'll do whatever task you need from a party going knife. But for an EDC, I wouldn't say that it cuts really great. I would say that it's a fairly poor cutting performer. You got this Tanto blade. This point does help for kind of draw cuts, for utility cuts, opening packages and the like. But then you don't need a whole heck of a lot of knife to open packages. So not great at cutting performance. Fit and finish is excellent. I've had pretty good luck with Benchmade. I've never had, it came very well centered. The deployment is really nice, and we'll talk about it here when I talk about action. The fit and finish is really, really nice, and the attention to detail that they have on their gold class is just excellent. You have really nice grind lines. They're perfectly symmetrical. That point it's perfectly matched on the other side. The finish on the blade is really, really nice. The materials that they've chosen are excellent. So I think so. Benchmade, I would say, has decent fit and finish. Right, they're not at the top of the list. They're not a Chris Reeve or a Koenig Arias, but they're decent. But on their gold class, they kind of kick it up a notch, and I think they put a little bit of extra attention on these knives, and I think it shows. Now, action, I have two things that I want to talk about. Deployment is really, really nice. It's a flipper. I enjoy the action is fast. It's snappy. It's really, really nice. Closing. It's a lighter blade, even though it's thick. It's just very, very small. It's 2 3/4 inches, and it's, so it's not a big blade. So it doesn't drop shut. It takes a lot of coaxing to cut. What I don't like is that because this scale and this scale are even, the liner doesn't. You have a little bit of jimping, but the jimping is from this surface. The dimples go down, and then they come up flush, and then they go down, and they come up flush. So the jimping is really hidden underneath. So the fact that there's no cutout, it leaves you with very little access, even though it's a thicker blade, very little access to the lock bar, to the liner lock, and I just hate that. I hate that. My fat fingers can't go into here to disengage the lock bar. So it's in my hands. Probably you have thinner, smaller hands than mine. You can probably use it more of a fidget. For me, because it's so thin, and because the access to the lock bar is not recessed, I can't disengage it. So I would say that the action on deployment is really nice. The closing it's not so good, and disengaging the lock bar is abysmal. I just hate it. So airing of grievances. So I would say that I don't like what they've done here. It's probably just a nitpick on my part, but if you have a choil here, the fact that the scale protrudes from the choil from here to here in these corners, I don't see a big reason for it, because you could just come down with it and chamfer that corner, have this contour this way, so that it matches the blade. But the fact that they've done this thing, you can't even do the kind of a pistol grip here, which you could. It's a small choil, but you could. But the fact that it just looks weird. It looks like somebody wasn't paying attention to the design of this. I believe that the designer of this is Oser. Yeah, actually, I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if I can get you a good angle here. Yeah, probably there. Oser. And these are numbered. This is number 742. So this little point, this little corner in the choil, it bothers me. The fact that the jimping and the access to the lock bar, it doesn't extend from the scale up, but it goes from the scale down. on a liner lock, and that the fact that they didn't do a cutout on this side to access the lock bar just makes it to where it's not it's not accessible. It's not comfortable in the hand. So for me, do I recommend this knife? I would say no. I would say I do not recommend this knife. I love looking at it, okay? I think it looks really, really, really nice. And that's why it fills the gentleman's carry. It's more of a party showpiece, right? A conversation starter kind of a thing. But it doesn't feel nice in the hand. The action is not fidgety. I don't think it's an excellent cutter. But for a gold class that I'm gonna use at a party, or that I'm gonna show at a party, I think it's worth having it in my collection. But it's an expensive knife for just that. So I wouldn't do this knife unless you have a substantial collection, and then you want to use it for just that use. I mean, even the bug out is a much better slicer, much better action, deployment, closing, all of it. I think if you heard me talk about the ergonomics, about the cutting, about the action, you'll see that I'm not crazy about any of it except the fit and finish and the materials. So as a conversation piece, as a show piece, as a party piece that you're not gonna use to cut much of anything, then I would say, yeah, get this. Otherwise, I'd say, if you like the bug out, there's a gold class bug out that you can sometimes find, and there's others. But this one, if you're thinking that this knife you're gonna use for EDC and carry it, even the other version, the standard version with the S30V blade, I would not recommend it. I don't think it's I think there's a lot of flaws in the design of this knife, and the only reason I keep this one is because it's kind of a showpiece. It's something to talk about, because I do think it looks amazingly nice. I do think the lines are really nice, even if as a tool it doesn't work very well. And maybe not all knives have to be tools. Sometimes they're just kind of pocket jewelry that you take out for a night on the town. Well, guys, hopefully this has been helpful to you or for you. If you do, then like and subscribe. Don't hit the notification. Nobody likes to get more emails. You know where to find me if you want to see my content. Until I see you again, take care.